Welcome to Tech Talk. My name is Lobo-Sanchez, and today I'm going to be introducing you to a wonderful and exciting application to incorporate in the classroom called Actively Learn. Now, Actively Learn actually began in 2012, and at its inception, found through their pilot program a 23% increase in post-reading comprehension. In fact, 80% of students preferred this method to traditional methods. Now, the Actively Learn application is a website online that can be incorporated into any curriculum that you currently have. In fact, it can be used from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. So there's no need to rewrite your curriculum, nor is there any training involved to implement this into your classroom. What Actively Learn has set out to do is to make learning and reading and thinking fun. Most students we see today after the 6th grade level tend to decline in the amount of words that they're reading per year and the amount of novels that they're reading. So from that 6th grade to 12th grade level, they're simply uninterested in what they have to read. We're finding that students are only reading, and actually sometimes only reading, what is required of them within the classroom. Now, one of the things as an English teacher I have found that students struggle the most with is reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is hard. We all know that. Read it and tell me what it's about. It requires knowledge, it requires prior background, vocabulary skills, and more importantly, motivation. And what Actively Learn is striving to do is to reduce those reader struggles. In fact, it helps students with support. And there are 4 tools that you'll find on Actively Learn that teachers can incorporate in the classroom. The first is scaffolding. In fact, you can upload PDFs to Actively Learn and put in your own teacher notes. That way you can guide your students along as they're reading. The second is for your EL and your SPED students. There are dictionary applications online where you simply highlight a word and it gives you the definition right there in the website. So students no longer need to go and find a dictionary, nor do they need to have a second application to define their text. The third is translation of text to speech. So those students who, whether they struggle with the English language or have an IEP or are considered a SPED student or even any CP or honor student, can literally listen to the text. And lastly is media. You can actually incorporate videos to your text to aid in their reading. And we're finding that reading comprehension is increasing with these tools. The next step is thinking. How do we get students to think? That's, again, one of the hardest concepts to do, is how do we get them to think? Well, through Actively Learn, we do increase thinking, writing, and collaboration. So we're teaching them how to think while they are reading, which is key to comprehension and learning. There are interactions inside the text, which encourages deeper encouragement. In fact, you can go in as the teacher, you can embed questions. Students can actually share with their responses within the classroom, whether it be in real time, or you can develop forums to come back at a later discussion in your classroom. You can also embed annotations, which then can either be shared privately with just the teacher or can be discussed within each of the students' classrooms themselves, or you can open up across all of your different levels. There are definitely endless opportunities to collaborate with not only their own period, but with 10th graders across the board. Or you can collaborate with another teacher who may be using Actively Learn. One of the examples that I like to use is my own personal curriculum. I was actually able, over these last 4 weeks, to bring in Actively Learn, and my students were able to actually annotate their online, whether they were in the classroom or they were at home, and I found that students were just engaged. They were ready to discuss. They came into the classroom prepared, and they were eager to learn. What was wonderful is when a student was outside of the classroom, they could simply write down an annotation or a question for me as their educator, and I was able to answer them even though they weren't physically sitting in front of me. So again, the applications are endless here of what you could do for all of your learners. The third thing that Actively Learn does is that it's access to a diverse library, and it has its own content. What we find in a lot of our school districts that are more lower socioeconomical areas is that the supplies simply aren't there. We don't have the resources necessary to have that enriched curriculum. And so Actively Learn provides over 20,000 digital texts. And it includes 2,500, actually over 2,500 pre-created assignments. Now, this also means that you can take your curriculum that you've already developed over the years and physically upload them into the program in the form of PDFs. So we're basically eliminating the need to lug our textbooks from home to school, to around the campus. And I know that at least a lot of my students simply will just leave the book at home because they don't want to carry it around. So we're eliminating that problem. We're also eliminating waste, and we're further eliminating the need to purchase more books. We will see a lot of different categories in Actively Learn. You'll see a range from ELA, science, social studies. You'll see short stories, current events, textbooks, and novels. So this isn't just for the English language classroom. This is across all subjects, and this is across the K through 12 level. What's really great is that this is going to evolve our instruction to become more student-centric. We're going to see intrinsic motivation. Now, I know as an educator, points, things like badges, they just don't work. Students lose interest in the points, and it really has not been proven to create long-term benefits. And so instead, Actively Learn is focusing on choice. It's focusing on interest and peer learning. Actively Learn also provides formative data, so you can measure a student's thinking to react to their needs. You can track them, you can provide stronger instruction and stronger feedback. So not only are we increasing their levels, but we're also increasing our abilities as an educator. Scaffolding and modeling. This is the #1 reason why students don't understand. They simply have a lack of background knowledge. And so through our modeling and reading strategies that can be used to Actively Learn, we're filling the gaps. And lastly is timely and targeted feedback. Students care. They really do care. I found that whenever I'm grading papers, and if I don't comment at least once on a paper, a student looks at the paper and throws it away. There's no affirmation that they did good. Or even if they did bad, they want that feedback from their teacher. And so the you here in Actively Learn can actually give immediate feedback. When a question is answered, it's sent directly to you. If there's a question, it's sent to you. And you can actually type right there into the website and immediately send it off to your student. So again, that immediate feedback is extremely important. So why don't you go ahead and turn your attention to the screen. I'm actually going to show you a short little video provided through Actively Learn that shows you all the different tools that you can utilize through this application.
Becoming a good reader is really hard. We're happy your teachers asked us to help. Welcome to Actively Learn. Let me show you around. On the left-hand side, you can see your classes as well as an independent reading library with hundreds of articles you can read on your own. Once you've selected a class, you can see your assignments and a place to add your own texts for research projects. Okay, let me introduce you to Natalie.
Hi, Steve.
Natalie here has to read the Gettysburg Address for her history class.
Good old history.
When you read and actively learn, you'll interact more with the text, your teacher, and your classmates, like in this assignment.
Here we go.
You'll see notes from your teacher alongside the text. These can help provide background or guide your reading. Sometimes they will include images and videos. Check out this next note.
Ah, I thought I heard those words somewhere before.
Difficult vocab? Define the word. Tough sentence? Hear it out loud, or if you need to, translate it. Still having trouble? Mark it to let your teacher know and come back to it later.
I'm going to ask Mr. Seiden. I still don't get this part.
Taking notes is really important. You'll remember a lot more of what you read if you write. Just highlight and add a note. Categorize it to help you remember why it is important.
Even though green is my favorite color, this is really author's purpose. Brown it is.
In Actively Learn, not only do you interact with your teacher, but also other students in your class. You can share notes to get feedback on your thoughts and discuss parts of the reading with your classmates.
Good point, Joe.
Questions often stop you, forcing you to think before continuing to read on. This way, you can tackle the assignment piece by piece.
What? You mean I can't just breeze through this, Steve?
Nope. After answering, check out what your classmates wrote. It can help to get different perspectives.
Wow, who knew Steve could be so smart?
That's another Steve. When teachers grade and provide feedback on your work, it will show right away inside the question. You'll even get a notification to know when this happens. No more lost worksheets.
Awesome. Since I'm done with my assignment a little early, I think I'll see what's new in the independent reading library.
The independent reading library has hundreds of interesting articles to choose from.
I've always wondered what truffles are. This looks cool, and it has some good reviews.
After reading, you can rate, review, and recommend it to your classmates. Your reaction gets stored automatically in your reading log.
I never knew mushrooms were in their own kingdom. I think Susan will like it. She wants to be a biologist one day.
In addition to group reading and independent reading, you can use Actively Learn to help you with your research projects.
I have a biology paper coming up. How can Actively Learn help?
Great question, Natalie. You can add internet articles, Google Docs, or PDFs and annotate them individually or with your classmates. When you're done, you can use a Google Docs add-on and begin writing from your highlights and notes. That's it.
About time.
We hope you like reading and Actively Learn.
So as you can see, there are endless possibilities through Actively Learn. And I think if you take a moment to truly explore those applications, you're going to see a difference in your classroom. Students are going to see success, and that's the goal for Actively Learn. We're going to see students become interactive with their reading, which I think as educators, we can say hasn't happened in quite some time. One of the examples, again, like I like to come back to, is my 10th grade English class this year. Now, I've been teaching 10th grade for a long time, and over the 10 years that I've been in education, at the end of a unit, students aren't ready to move on. They don't want to read another novel. They've spent 4 to 6 weeks on this book, and they want a break. This year was different. This was the first year that I incorporated Actively Learn, and I saw this new, inspired students sitting right in front of me. In fact, my students, as of today, are begging me for another book. They're waiting to find out, when are we doing another book? When are we going to do an article? Are we going to use Actively Learn? And of course, my answer is, you bet we are. The fact that students are asking me to read more is just a further example that students really are enjoying this program. I think that it's definitely an opportunity for all levels to become engaged, whether they're SPED, whether they are EL, whether they're CP or HP, it doesn't matter. Students are reading, and that's the key here. And not only are they reading, they're comprehending, and we're teaching them to truly think. So I just want to thank you for your attendance today, and I hope that you go on to activelylearn.com, and I'll be around afterwards to answer any questions. Now, when you go on to the website, you're going to see a free plan, and this plan never expires. And if you want to access even further tools in Actively Learn, you're going to have an opportunity to pay for the premium plans. Now, I know as teachers, you hear the word pay, and you think no, but it's affordable. I'm a teacher. I don't have the money to pay for some expensive program, but this is at a reasonable rate. And they do break it down to monthly. And the opportunity to get these students engaged in reading and liking to read is priceless. So again, I thank you for your time, and I encourage you to check out the program.